All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Here we are. I can't believe we're already into the month of August. Obviously, a very short time frame until we get into the annual enrollment open enrollment season. I know a lot of us are already prepping for that. Obviously, working through AHIP certifications and carrier certifications. I would encourage you, if you're doing Medicare this fall and you're not yet done with AHIP, you should get it done ASAP, and then move on to the carrier certifications that need to be done. We're also scheduling to have all of the carrier partners come in, and depending on which part of the territory that you're in, your sales leader is working to get everybody in late August through September, so that hopefully everybody is up to speed on what's happening well before October 1st. So I also wanted to just throw this out there. You're going to be getting a communication here shortly from home office. We're going to actually have some weekly calls that home office is going to be hosting. I think they're going to be on Thursday afternoons, I think at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And so you just want to watch for those. They're going to be AEP, OEP preparation meetings. And so there's a lot of great content. They're bringing in, Connecture. They're bringing in Retire Flow. I think Health Sherpa's coming in. So they're bringing in a lot of our third-party vendors in addition to just other prep work that's being done. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. And then last but not least, watch your emails because Health Markets is going to be announcing an opportunity to have marketing on demand. Send out a book of business letter to all of your Medicare clients. If you so choose, you don't have to, but if you do it, Health Markets will cover 50% of the cost this year, and it's a way to kind of automate that. They'll be going out in September. If you want to use that particular resource, it'll be available through Marketing on Demand, and so just keep your eyes and ears open for that. So those were my announcements. I want to really focus the rest of our time today with Joanie Keehn. Joanie, are you with us? There you are. I see you. So thank you for joining us today. I was actually, as I was kind of prepping a little bit for our conversation today, I just jumped out and looked at your Health Markets website and noticed that you have 354 five-star Google reviews, which is impressive. I don't think we have anybody else in our territory that has that many five-star Google reviews. We're going to get into that in a moment, but I would love to just start off by you telling us a little bit about your story, the journey that led you to Health Markets, how long you've been here, kind of your background, just kind of set the stage for us a little bit on what your practice and your agency is all about, and maybe some of the things you've done to really have the success that you've had. So thanks for being here.
Welcome. Good morning. Can everybody hear me fine?
I can hear you great. Thank you.
Perfect. So I have a very unique story. So I started in small business as a teen. My family has owned businesses their whole lives. So I did office management at 15, 16, 17 years old. That's what I was going to do for a living. Went to college for that. So I have a business degree. I have an office administration degree. I have an Associates of Arts and Science degree, and then I am 9 credits short of an urban development and um, communications degree. And then I have a marketing associate. So I have a very eclectic business management background. I was a controller for a long time. And when I say a long time, most people are like, oh, that would make me old. Um, Remember, I started in management in my teen years by luck. So I did controlling of businesses until I was in my mid 20s. In my mid 20s, became a single mom. And as you all have probably dealt with children in your lifetime, as a single mom, I was working 80 hours a week. My kids were being woke up by someone else. My kids were being put to bed by someone else. My now 27-year-old went off to kindergarten, and the first 3 days of kindergarten, they do the whole, hi, who are you? Tell us about your mommy and daddy. Tell us about your life. 32 children in kindergarten with my daughter, and they were half days. So it took 3 days to get through the classroom. And my daughter's last name starts with W. So she was the last of 32 children. And believe it or not, I was the only single parent, and I was the only one not waking up my child or reading bedtime stories and putting her to bed. And so she came home and told me she hated me, as any good 5-year-old does. And she ran away from home, as any good 5-year-old does. Thank goodness it was just down the block. My now husband and I had been dating at that point. So he sat with her for about 13 hours on the corner, coaxing her to try to come home. Um, and I just let her go. I didn't know what to do. So the very next morning, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I couldn't do what I was doing anymore because my kids needed me. And so I went in and I quit my controlling job as a single parent, not knowing where I was going, not knowing what I was going to do, not knowing how I was going to feed my kids, but I knew my kids had to come first. At that point, I was in the middle of doing my group renewal for the company that I had worked for. And keeping in mind now for 10 years, I did business management. So I was on the side of buying insurance for the companies I worked for and very politely telling my employees, it's great for you. And if you don't like it, too bad, shut up, use it anyway. Right. So I learned the purchasing side of insurance first. So I called the agent that I was working with at the time, said, hey, you're going to have to come in and finish this renewal because I just quit. And she was like, really? Would you be interested in working for an insurance agent? And I said, absolutely not. You can't match my salary. I can't imagine as an insurance agent that you make any kind of money. Not possible. And she said, well, can you just come in and try it? Just come in and sit in my office and try it. And I said, what do I got to lose right now? I don't have a job. So I did. I went and I sat in her office for 3 days and decided I could manage her office. I gave her my salary requirements and she chose to meet them. So, to that point, she had been in insurance 15 years, never won an award, was never the top salesperson in anything, never any. Back then, one of the hospital systems had a insurance plan of their own. I went after the contract to be the insurance agency that answered the phone and enrolled people because they were looking for insurance agents to do that. Because she told me I had to find a way to help her bring business in the door. And so that was it. I was like, listen, if I can win a contract, I don't have to do anything else, right? I can just sit in my office and do the bookkeeping and be happy. So that was 20, 22 years ago, that took place. And so I won that contract. And in 6 months, I was the top salesperson in the state of Ohio for that company. Um, and all I was doing back then was answering the phone and data entry because if they paid their first month's premium, it was considered their signature. So I didn't even have to get a signature on an app. I literally had to ask questions. And if they paid it, it counted. Um, Insurance was so much easier back then. So, after that, about 6 months after we started that company actually folded, and I had to move the entire block of business. And I helped her move the entire block of business to a company at the time called American Community. So if anybody's been around for a long time, you'll know that company. I was their number one sales rep. 2 years running in Northeast Ohio at that point. And all I was doing was moving the block that I had already helped enroll. So at that point, she came to me and basically said, you can't be the office manager anymore. You have to do sales. And I said, absolutely not. I hate sales. I'm not doing it. You cannot make me do sales. And she said, well, if you want to stay working here, you're going to do sales and you're going to run the individual Medicare department. Congratulations. Now you're doing it. And I was like, ooh, okay. And so I did. Stayed with her for about 5.5 years, realized that her morals and ethics were on Jupiter and mine were on Earth. So it was time to go. At that time, I had been the number one sales rep for Aetna on the Medicare side in Ohio. And so Aetna actually approached me and said, will you come and be a broker sales rep for us and teach brokers across 5 states how to do Medicare? And I said, you know what? Perfect timing because I need out of here. Great transition. I had signed a non-compete, so the book of business I wrote there had to stay there anyway. It made perfect sense. So I went to work for Aetna, and so Arnie, I went and Arnie's office was underneath me. Rick Bell's office was underneath me. A bunch of the other health market sales leaders were underneath me at Aetna as far as going in and training their agents and teaching them how to do Medicare. I was the first broker sales rep to come into the Cleveland market in the Rick Bell territory and teach the Rick Bell team how to do Medicare. So I've been with health markets from the outside, from the inception of Medicare to now being on the inside. Did that for about 5 years. Aetna was bought or partnered with Coventry, and at that time, they transitioned territories. And when they transitioned territories, my territory was going to be a whole new territory, and there was no business written in it yet because we hadn't launched a project there yet. And so Coventry came in and said, "We don't care that you've been the number one salesperson at Aetna. You are in a territory that does not make money, so you are the first one out." And so at that point, I was like, okay, I'll find something else to do. And that happened on June 2nd of 2014. And on June 9th, I woke up paralyzed from the waist down. So God knew what he was doing. He was prepping things. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder that was supposed to take my life in 4 years. And in honesty, if I would have followed the doctors, I would not be here. So we spent 9 months really working on that. But 6 of it really working on getting back to I needed to work. My husband and I had only been married a year at that point. We had been together almost 12, but we finally had gotten married, only been married a year. My kids were teens, and they were told if I survived, it wouldn't be long. I was adamant I was going back to work. The doctors said absolutely not. So I gave up the opportunity that I had chosen. And Rick Bell came to me and said, "Why don't you come work for us? And we will work with you however you need." And I was like, "No, the doctor said I can't." He actually spoke with my head doctor at the time, and they came with an agreement that if I opened a territory outside of where I lived, people wouldn't know me, they wouldn't know my capacity, they wouldn't know my passions, and I could start off slow. And that's how I got to health markets. So in October of 2014, I opened as a sales leader. I came in as a sales leader, opened a territory for Rick Bell in Pennsylvania. And from 14 to 18, did that. And then in 2018, my mom and my father-in-law both got sick at the same time. And I went back to Rick and said, "Hey, this isn't going to work. I need to move my office back home, and I need to be there for family." And so at that point, I decided to become just a direct agent again, and opened a storefront here in my local home, and have had this storefront since then. I started at 600 square feet, and as of today, I have 3,000 square feet in my storefront with a full conference center inside. So that's kind of the journey to get here. And as you can see, I am much not dead, as I call it. Still have my illness, but we are managing it fully holistically. And I am the only one of 39 people with my disease that is still living. So it's been a
Wow.
journey. Yeah, it's
That is
been a journey.
quite a story. I knew pieces of that, but I
So
did not know all of that, Joanie. So, uh,
yeah,
obviously, a testament to perseverance and your faith, and a lot of great people around you, I'm sure, that put you in a position that you're in today. So,
absolutely. It is everything.
what's your practice look like today? I know you have some staff members, and you've
Yeah.
continued to scale your personal practice. You want to talk a little bit about what that journey in itself has been like?
So I'm a very faith-based person, but I really struggled with keeping that separate from my business for a long time because when you're in corporate America, you can't have the two together. And as a sales leader, because I was kind of quasi corporate, quasi on my own, at least that's how I viewed it, having my faith in there and being prominent in it at that point, health markets wasn't ready for me to have that displayed. It's much different now, thankfully. But so when when I finally learned that I could be one person all the time, right? I could just be Joanie, and I could be my faith-based person, and I could be my business person, and I could be all the things that I am in one space and in one place. Um, Business got very good. Honestly, if you guys go back and look at my numbers, the first 6 years I was here, I probably was one of the lowest tiered agents in the company. And it's true. I will never hide that. I struggled with supplements and I struggled with life. And I did the Sandler training, I did the Southwest training, I did many other outside sales trainings. And I was often told, "It's not sales skills. You have sales skills. They're great," because I am a service oriented person. So then it was, "Well, you don't believe in the product." So then we worked on it, and I'm like, "Well, that can't be because I own every product we have. I was the good agent that bought it first, so I knew how it worked, right? So I own every product that we have. It can't be." So In my journey of bringing on new employees, I knew that it had to be God ordained. And so I never put a for hiring sign. I still haven't today. In 10 years of my storefront, I have never put up a for hiring sign because I believe that if God wants me to grow, God will bring the people. So I do a lot of prayer. And I talk a lot to my faith-based community, and he truly has brought every single employee, and we know exactly why he has brought them once they get here. The first thing I had to learn is it couldn't be about me and it couldn't be about my business. It had to be about why is God bringing them? And sometimes it was for them to learn something, and sometimes it was for us to learn something. So in that process, I have learned that there has to be five very consistent things for me in my business. One, every single employee has to have a personal growth plan and a professional growth plan. Because if we're growing them personally, it will help them grow professionally, and then it will also grow our business. Because if you support people, people want to support you. Think about your clients, right? You have some very, very faithful clients. As you are protecting them and you are supporting them, they want to support you. So we needed to put that same mentality into the practice. That was number one. Number two, God says, take care of my people and I will take care of you. I had to fully embrace that, even when it was scary, even when I didn't know where we were going, even when I did not have the finances to hire another employee. If God said, hey, it's time, I had to take the leap of faith and I had to do it. And you know what? Every single time he has provided the finances, even when we were all told, hey, you're not going to have commission and you're going to stop getting paid PDPs and you're going to stop this, that, or the other. My practice has grown exponentially because I've been faithful, right? That's number two. The third thing is when your employees are having a tough time, do not treat them like employees. They are family. They are friends, right? They are who want to see you be successful, and they also want to be successful. So understanding what that means to them was just as important as understanding what is successful to me, right? Because you can't fuel someone, and you can't get someone to actually have passion and buy-in to who you are if you don't care about who they are and who they want to be. So that was number three. That was very, very important for me. Um, with that, God brought me a couple of employees in the beginning, and I had to learn, right? People come, people go. So I also then had to learn that no matter how much I invested, that I wasn't investing them in them to stay here. I was investing in them to grow who they were. And that also meant that sometimes in growth, God was going to call them out. And I had to be ready from the day I hired them to the day that they left to be grown out of who we are. Because if we are truly doing what God called us to do here in my business, then I also have to be ready for what God's going to continue calling them to do. And that made it much easier than when people exit, right? No hard feelings, no bitterness, no angriness, no clients going, oh my gosh, people left. Why are people leaving you? Because if you run your business this way, your clients also know you run your business this way. So they are also behind and cheering and encouraging and all the way. That was number four. And then number five was I had to not also treat my clients as clients. I had to treat them as family and friends. And where they gave to us, we had to give back. So we do a lot of community stuff. We also throw a customer appreciation event every single year. Matter of fact, it was this past Saturday, to give back and show them that we are appreciative of them trusting us. So every year I spend somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 a year specifically on one big event for our customers, specifically every single year. And it is a hit. We invite the community as well. And I will tell you this last Saturday, we had over 300 people attend. So once I understood that that's where I was being called, then I built a company creed about who we are and how we do business. It's displayed in my lobby. My staff has to own it and honor it. We go over it every Monday at a staff meeting to make sure that nobody forgets it. And we understand our business is very different. We are a ministry first. So we are faith first, business second. So service, because we don't do sales here. We service the community because we do ministry first. We service second. and then we are last. And we being last means if that product is non-commissionable, you don't say, no, I'm not going to sell it. You say, it's a fit for you. So let's make sure that you are taken care of and most of your money is back in your pocket all the time because God said, do the right thing all the time and I will take care of you. And so that is truly how we run our business. And everybody says, well, how do you do that with PDPs not paying, with Medicare Advantages going off the market? How do you do that with ACA products not paying? I can tell you, if you look even all the way to the beginning of last year, I was probably next to nothing in supplements. If you look now, I'm in the top 100 of supplements because I had to learn to change my mentality, right? And I'll talk through that in a second. But even with losing of all the commissions, I have grown triple year over year over year. If you look at my numbers for the last in my income over the last 6 years, because I have followed this model and it has not failed me yet. We are now at 10 employees and we just hired 4 more because we know what's coming. So know who you are, be who you are, and don't let anyone else tell you that you should be different in the way you do business. Because if you are consistent and people know you and you are being authentic, business will come.
Very well said. So, a couple of questions that come out of what you just said there. First of all, what does this personal growth plan look like that you work through with your people? I'm just curious.
Absolutely. So we start with when they come in, they need to talk to me about what do they want to do in life? Who do they want to be in life? And often they don't know. So we work through a budget. I have, out of my current 10 employees, one had ever done an actual budget in their lifetime. I have employees that range from 20 years old to 60 years old. And my 60-year-old had never done a budget. She paid her bills, she got paychecks, but she didn't have any idea of what a budget was. She was doing financial planning. I don't know how they've never had, but they didn't know what a budget was or how to budget, right? So that's number one. We learn what they know and what they don't, and what's going to help them be successful, right? So that's number one. With that conversation, then we have them do a vision board. It is mandatory every year. My entire staff does a vision board. And the vision board gets broken into 4 categories. Who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What do I need to grow in? And who do I need to focus on first to do that? And sometimes it's themselves and sometimes it's God. But remember, God brings me everybody. So most everybody on our boards has God first. But they have to meet all 4 of those categories on their vision board. Once their vision board's complete, they have to share it with the staff. We actually have a day where we all sit down, we do them together, and we explain what they are, and then they are displayed in our offices. And they are displayed in our offices so that we can cheer each other on, so we can encourage each other. Also, because our clients actually, believe it or not, see them, they ask about them, it builds rapport, it builds community. And then we have clients that will bring things in to help my staff achieve what's on the vision board. So it's a positive. We also then, if they need education, we help secure it. If they need coaching, we help secure it. If they need counseling, we help secure it. If they need a specific type of doctor, my own staff, we help secure it, right? So if there are things that they are missing in their lives simply because somebody has not showed them, loved them, or cared enough, we help supply it. And I truly mean staff first. So my staff knows that for them, faith first, family second, the business is last. So if they have a sick kid and they have to be called out 37 times in 2 weeks, okay, we'll figure it out because your family first. God said God first, family second, everything else third. And so I really live that in my business.
Well said. What about this customer appreciation event? What does that look like? So you just have a bunch of people in a setting. Obviously, if you're spending 6 to 10 grand, more
So
significant than that. But you have
yeah,
music,
so
events, like what's
yeah. So it has grown over the years. It started, to be honest, I have to explain why it started because I think that'll be helpful. Um, Remember, I said I was sick, didn't think I was going to be here. So dreaming was not it just wasn't in my life. I didn't dream. I didn't have goals. I didn't have aspirations. I had survival mode. And I lived in survival mode. And I lived in survival mode even before I got sick because I came from a very bad childhood. Everything that should never happen to a child, I lived through. Um, in any bad thing you can think of, yes, I lived through that, which is actually how I got my illness. They said that basically what happened is my brain and my vagus nerve, if anybody knows what that is, and my body literally broke because of what I had been through. And that's what triggered my autoimmune disorder. So when we learned that I had gone into remission, um, I I went into remission because clients constantly were here. They were supporting me. They were helping me. They were getting me into doctors that I couldn't get into. And so when that happened, we started to dream. And when I was a young girl, I had four things. All I wanted to do coming out of trauma was I wanted a husband, I wanted children, I wanted my own home that my kids did not have to go from school to school to school to school. And then eventually I wanted to be a farming grandma because until I was a teenager, life was good. And I lived on a farm with my grandparents and then became a teenager and things in my personal life went sour because my parents divorced. I wasn't allowed to return to the farm because that's the way my dad's family believed that the woman that married in was not actually family and the children she bore, if they left with her, were not either. And so I was not allowed to return, but that was my life. That was my passion. So when I went into remission, my only dream was if my children come home and say they're pregnant, I want to be a farming grandma. And sure enough, kids come home pregnant. So that was my dream. That's all I ever, that was it. I was like, if I could do anything in my life again, I'm going to be a farming grandma. I want to farm. And clients knew, right? We were very vocal because we share our vision boards. And so all of my clients, every farm they heard about, they came up for sale. If they thought I was physically or struggling, or if they thought my health was getting bad, anything our clients could do to help me achieve that because they knew my story, they were here and they were doing it. It was an amazing, beautiful thing. And sure enough, God granted us on October 2nd, 2021, a 77-acre farm, ready to move in, ready to take animals. And so after that, I learned it was okay to dream and it was okay to have goals and visions for myself. Um, I made my stepdad them, but I still wasn't ready to dream because we still didn't know where my illness was going. And so when we had achieved the farm, my husband and I had talked about it and we had prayed about it, and we felt that it was very important to share that with our clients because they helped us maintain it and get it and achieve it. And so we threw our first customer appreciation at the farm because we wanted to share it and we wanted to show it. And so we had live music, we had food trucks, we took tours of the farm, we did games, and all of our customers loved it. They thought it was amazing. So it was born. And then we were like, okay, we're going to do this every year. So the first 3, 4 years, we did it at the farm. Last year, when we expanded from 8,000 to 3,000 square feet, that conference center that I told you about is also a worship center. I have a faith-based ministry business as well that I run. And so we actually can house a 5-piece ministry band in our building, but our system goes mobile. And so when we're out of the house, as we call it, we actually can house a 12-piece ministry band. And so we do ministry as well here on site and off site. So we did it here to, again, share with our clients what they helped us achieve because many of them know my love for ministry. And so they came and they helped actually build out the ministry center and they helped put on some of the ministry. And then this year we chose to do it at a winery because it's just gotten so big now. I can't house it anywhere else. So, which is amazing, right? Because it grows year over year. So we do music, we do food. This year we did wine tasting because we did it at a local winery. Our territory is known for the winery areas. We had yard games. We do a little giveaway packet of different things. We also promote two local businesses every year that are clients of ours. So this year we did sourdough chocolate chip cookies was dessert, was one of them. And then obviously we did the winery. And then we had a local printing company that is a client of ours that printed a lot of the gifts for us. So we always try to give back to community as well. And it's really come, hang out, relax, listen to music, eat good food, meet new friends, and hang out with us. And so that's pretty much it. And we're going to do it again next year. Our clients have already asked. And next year we are incorporating Client Classic Car Show. So they're going to bring out their classic cars, they're going to bring out their motorcycles, and we're literally just going to have a good day.
That's awesome. I've heard of people doing the client appreciation events. I've personally never done that, but I was just curious as to, what that entails and what you're doing there. So that's really
Yeah.
great. So you've got 10, you're expanding to 14.
Mhm.
Can you just give us a quick breakdown of like what are the roles of the people in your organization and where are they, where are they helping you? Where are they serving customers? Like what are they doing?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you the new vision because you had asked, what are we doing this year? What are we changing? So this is part of what we're changing. The infrastructure that I had built, the databases, all the different things, housed well for three of us, four of us doing sales. It's not going to house where we're going. So we are actually rebuilding all of our infrastructure right now. So we're changing our database program. We're changing the way we house commissions. We're changing the way we're housing internally. So we do have our own internal server system. We also are moving to Microsoft SharePoint, which is not my favorite, but it will help the business grow the best. So we have some full-time, some part-time, and then this year, for the first time ever, we're going to have seasonals. So full-time, we have two receptionists. So our office, our phones are answered during rest of year from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we have receptionists, one that comes in at 7, works her 8 hours, one that comes in midday, works her 8 hours, and she leaves at 6. So the office is open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 8 to noon with a receptionist every single Saturday now. Now, I'll talk about how salespeople do Saturday because it's a little bit different, but that is our reception. Their job is to greet, answer phones, schedule appointments, get our appointment drawer ready because Joanie is still old-fashioned paper. I have an entire file room of paper folders with paper for everything. We have 3,000 clients, so you can imagine how big that file room is, especially since our average retention of client is 9 years. So yeah, a lot of paper. So we have the two receptionists. We will, last year during enrollment season with all the scare, and because we take care of people the way we do, our average incoming phone calls every day was 300 calls a day. You can't keep up with that. Now, 12 months before that, our average phone call was 70 phone calls a day during enrollment season. Huge difference. That, if I say we failed somewhere last year, that was it, because there was no way to plan for that. Right. So our poor receptionists spent more time listening to voicemails than they did answering phones. So we have a new plan for that. That's why we have seasonals this year, because we're going to have, as many people as we need to answering phones and scheduling appointments and doing different things. Then currently I have an efficiency coordinator. That is her title. She's the only one that has a technical title in our office because we don't want anybody to be titled into a position, right? We want everybody to be able to fill in for everyone. So, but the efficiency coordinator, basically her job is the infrastructure. She is rebuilding, redoing, revamping. She is studying it, improving it. And then she will eventually move into my admin assistant / office manager. But right now her job is evaluating the business and shoring it up. I have a bookkeeper now. So she is part-time because I can't manage the business, be the main salesperson, be the person who runs the other business. Plus, remember, I told you I now have a 77-acre full working farm. So I start there every morning, I end there every day. So I'm a very busy woman. So I have to start building that. Currently, I have one other that sells full-time with me. And then we have two admin assistants and we have two project managers and a marketing specialist. That's what we have today. Where we are moving is we will have two full-time receptionists, two part-time receptionists, so that we have the front of the house full. One part-time receptionist full job will be scheduling. That will be all she will do during enrollment season. We will all be punting every person that calls in that needs to get on the calendar to a scheduler. We are moving to service. So sales and service used to be the same position. You shared it. We are moving away from that. We are moving to what we call retention specialists. So we will have two people whose jobs will be specifically every claim that comes in, because we are, guys, hold on to your hats, because I'm going to tell you something that is going to feel very strange. We do about 80 hours worth of service work a week ourselves. We are fitting it in. And when I say service, if somebody needs to file a devoted reimbursement, they come here, we do it. They need to file a golden rule claim, they come here, we do it. They can't find a doctor, they come here, we do it. If they can't know how to read an explanation of benefits, they come here, we do it. Everything they need, we do it. Now, and you're going to say, but you don't get paid for that. No, yes, you do. Most of you get paid a commission, and that commission comes every single month, a small chunk. We
Mhm.
call it a service fee. If you're getting paid monthly, you should be willing to touch your clients monthly. That's how you grow your business. That's how you get referrals. And so that is what we do. We are very service heavy. So we are moving into retention specialists, because where I used to be very good before we grew so fast, I was calling customers every single month. I was calling them and saying happy birthday, not just sending a card. I was calling and asking, hey, your daughter was supposed to graduate this year. How did that go? I was doing all of those touches that we have not been able to do now the last year and a half, because we have just grown so fast. So our retention specialists will be doing that. They will also be checking on the T65s. They'll be checking on the T26s. They'll be getting them in here. Everybody that's attended an early retirement seminar with us, because we do early retirement seminars, they will be checking in with them. Hey, you said you were hoping to retire June of 27. It's January of 26. Are you still on track? Do we need to start meeting and start planning your retirement? That will be what they'll be doing. And so they will be retaining. They'll be checking PID. Does something look like it's going to fall off? Okay, we're going to be calling Mr. Customer. What was happening? Are you aware, Mr. Customer? Oh, you're leaving us? God's calling you somewhere else. Not how dare you. God's calling you somewhere else. Did you find another broker? Let's make sure you chose a good one. Not, can you come back? Let's make sure you chose a good one. Why? Because they're going to go, oh, well, I just answered the guy on the phone. Okay, great. What did they explain to you? Why don't you come in? I'm not going to try to dissuade you from it, but let's make sure we go through the benefits that person showed you. Two reasons. I want to make sure you fully understand them, number one. And number two, I want to see what I missed when I was showing you plans, because clearly if you feel that plan is better, I missed something. I didn't do my job. So let's come in and figure that out together, because that would be very helpful for me. We do that now. About 50% of the people come in and they show us. 50% of the people that come in still go where they were led. Some are like, oh, we're so glad you did this. Can we just do it with you? Well, of course you can. Retention, right? It also shows that you are approachable as an agent and that you really do care, because you're trying to make sure. I'm not dissuading them from that. Absolutely. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about why you didn't do it in the beginning. If that's what you want to do, let's do it. Right? Because your customers need to know that you are actually about them and not about you. And sometimes that means they have to leave. It's okay. Right? And then we'll have our sales team, which is actually not sales. Remember, we don't do sales. We do education. We are the education team. So we're actually changing our titles here. It will not be sales. It'll be the education. We will have a retention team. We will have an education team. And then, of course, we have our back admins that are making sure, did every single client get verified? We check every client after it's sold, every product. Did it go active? If it didn't go active, why not? What do we have to do to fix it and get it done? And if it's something like, oh, Social Security still hasn't processed their Part B, we're checking every day. Did Part B go through? We have a timeline. If after 17 days Part B hasn't gone through, we're calling the customer. Let's call Social Security together. Let's figure out why your Part B didn't go through. Because we do their application for A and B for them. We do their Social Security application with them. And so we are changing the way we're doing business. If you have been paying attention to legislation at all, you're going to see that there is a change coming in healthcare. And there is a new wave of brokers coming or will be mandatory to come. Compensation in the future is going to be tied to quality, not quantity. And it's also going to be tied to, are you actually helping your clients schedule certain types of visits? We at Health Markets do service better than anywhere else. We do supplemental sales better than anywhere else. I can tell you that. Remember, I managed 5 states of many types of brokers, GAs, and FMOs. And when I hear these people, I kind of chuckle and go, oh, so they're going to do everything Joanie way. That's what we call it, the Joanie way, because we are so service heavy already. So if we are so good at these things before everybody else is forced to do it, they're going to see it as negative. They're going to complain. They're going to be frustrated. They're going to taint their own customers, and their customers are going to be looking for people who have joy in doing it. And guess what? I'm already here. Sure, come on in.
So a few questions off of that. You talked about this last 18 months or so, just the crazy growth that you've seen.
Mhm.
Why, why so much growth in the last 18 months? What was the catalyst for that? Is it just a place in time, or did something happen?
It's kind of a plasmic of both. So I advertise all year round. People do not understand. I spend about $100,000 a year in advertising. I do I need to? No. There's a reason. Remember, I have a marketing background. 90, we have the statistics, 98.87% of our clientele is referral. Let me say that again. 98.87% of our clientele is referral. So you're like, okay, Joanie, if less than 2% is coming from advertising, why in the world are you spending $100,000? Two things. Remember, I said treat people right, and then they'll refer you. When they refer you, the average today, somebody needs to see your name, they need to hear your name, they need to read your name. Let me say that again. They need to see your name, they need to hear your name, they need to read your name. If they do all 3 of those on an average of 7 times, they're going to pick up the phone and call you. So if their same group of friends keep saying your name, and their same group of friends keep giving your business card, and their same group of friends, they keep putting it in front of them to read it, are they going to come? No, because it's the same group. But if the same group of friends keep doing 2 of the 3, and then they see me on a commercial or on a billboard on the local bar table because we advertised on the table, then they're going to go, that's the girl everybody keeps talking about. I need to call her. Okay. The other thing that has happened is 18 months ago, I started doing early retirement seminars. I've been doing Medicare 101s forever, but early retirement seminars. And we do them for small businesses. We do them for financial planners. We do them for PNC agents. And then we do them for open to the public seminars. And an early retirement seminar, think about how a financial planner does it, right? They are talking about how do you plan for early retirement in your monies. How many on this call do Affordable Care Act? Right.
Everybody.
So how do you determine a premium for someone? What's the number one thing that determines their premium? Their income. So if I can teach somebody who wants to early retire how to keep their income in that CSR level, if I can at possible, or just over it, what did I just become? I just became a hero because now I can early retire and it's affordable. Wait a minute. That can't be. My friend said that that's not possible. No, let me show you. It is possible. And let me show you how to do it. And let's talk about it. And then let's talk about how you're going to talk to your financial planner on how you're going to take these distributions appropriately and when. And oh, by the way, we're not going to balloon it at the end because we don't want you to end up with Irma. So let's start talking about what Irma is today. Because clearly, if you financial plan, you have plenty of money if you're going to retire at 50, 59, 62. So now we need to talk about how are we financially doing this money now and into the future. So, maybe we need to be talking to your financial planner about while you're still working this year, moving some money into a Roth IRA or into other places where it will be non-taxable during retirement years because we need you to be drawing non-taxable money during the years of early retirement, right? Um, if you're going to be drawing money. So we have this whole seminar built around early retirement and how to financially plan for the Affordable Care Act, and then how to financially plan for Medicare years. That has blown up our business. The other thing that I do is I've actually written a seminar for the local joint vocational schools and the local community college. And I go in right before graduation and I teach the kids about benefits. What's supposed to be in a benefit package? When you're going to find a new employer, understand what should be in your benefit package, what you should be negotiating for, and what questions you should be asking so that you're getting an appropriate benefits package. And if you're not getting an appropriate benefits package, knowing what you're going to need to go buy yourself so that you are well protected. And that is it. I started doing informational, educational, let me help you protect you seminars. And again, my motto, ask all of my clients, they're going to say, what did Joanie say all the time? And they're going to say, I say two things. The number one is, let me help you put as much of your money back in your pocket as absolutely possible because somebody's going to find a way to take it. I want to be the one that's giving it. That's number one. Number two, they're going to say, well, we always ask her how she gets paid. And she always laughs and says, get ready. I'm going to give you the biggest bill. This could be the biggest bill you've ever seen in your life. You're not going to be able to afford it. I promise you. And then they laugh because I make it very exaggerated. And then I hand them two business cards. And I say, I just want you to tell two people that we tell the truth, that we're honest, and it's always about you. And that's it. I leave it right there.
Very well said. Um, so I've gotten through like three of my 30 questions I had for you. This has been really great content. Like this has been awesome. So I have two last questions in kind of the last 10 minutes that we have.
Yeah,
One is
absolutely.
I know you've been very involved in at a legislative level, probably more than anybody else I know in the health markets ecosystem. I know you've led NABIP, you've done some things there. You want to give us a quick synopsis and then maybe just a couple of things that the agents should probably know about what's coming legislatively?
Okay, so NABIP, National Association of Benefits and Insurance Professionals, is an organization that lobbies on your behalf and your clientele's behalf on health care, where it's going, what it's doing, what it's not doing, what it should be doing on a national level. And then there's also your own local state level. I am heavy in both, but primarily mostly state because I feel that's where I can make the most impact. So I do meet with legislators on a regular basis here at home, at my capital in the state. I've been to Washington. I've met with the president. So, because I believe passionately, again, the healthcare system is very broken. I think we could all agree. And the people we need to worry about are the people that we deal with every day. So that is kind of a place where you can get plugged in. You get first knowledge of legislation that's being worked on, all the way to legislation that's passed. And you actually get to have a voice and be there to help. So that's great. Things coming. Gosh, there's so many. Which ones do you want me to focus on? Because my brain will go 1,000 places.
I would say whatever's going to impact agents the most in the next, 6 months here, because what's right in front of us is probably what's most important, right?
Okay. All right. So let's look at the Medicare side first. Scopes of appointments. You still need those at 48 hours today. You cannot go to at a time of appointment till October 1. Okay. The only place that changed is prior, you could not take a scope of appointment at an educational meeting, and you could not host an educational meeting and a sales meeting in the same stay at the same location. That has now changed. You can take a scope at both, as well as you can hold a sales meeting and an educational meeting in the same location, as long as there's a break between and the people understand you're transitioning from one to the other. That has changed. New wave brokers, I talked about it. The quality, so there will be in the near future, uh, similar to a star ratings for broker behavior. So you will start seeing carriers come out and go, hey, if you help them schedule their first dental appointment, if you help them schedule their annual physical, if you help, then you will be compensated, right? Kind of like we see the health risk assessments, right? So understand in the future and very near, you will start seeing some of that transition. You are going to see more and more PDPs not be paid, right? You are going to see more suppression. Let me explain why suppression happens. I think if you understand that, you'll be a little less frustrated. Doesn't make it easier, but a little less frustrated. The carrier has to file their benefits. Number one. Number two, they have to be able to show a 3% profit across the board for the length of the plan, so the calendar year. At any time that comes into jeopardy, they are told by CMS they need to right the ship. Well, if benefits already filed, already approved, and they're taking fast enrollment, the only way to right the ship is to stop taking enrollment. Okay, understand that. If they don't right the ship, they have to pull the plan the following year and potentially all their plans, because then they were considered not fiduciary. So we don't want all their plans to go away. We're frustrated that one's going to go away, but that's the best resolution. Second, commissions not being paid. The other thing you need to understand about that, they are filed 0 to CMS cap. The reason they're filed at 0, which we are working on, is because in-house sales reps at an insurance company are still considered agents and brokers, and many of them get a salary, not a commission. And because they get a salary, they're still classified the same as us. There has to be a 0 category. So that's why it's 0 to whatever. So they are working on, NABIP is working on trying to find a way to, just like we're trying to change the TPMO separate from agents, we're trying to break out employee versus agent and broker. So understand that's coming. ACA. If you haven't noticed, last week, a federal judge came back and threw out all of the wonderfuls that we thought ACA was going to be for this year. So you can stop your ACA panic in some degree. So we will probably get January 15th back. Currently, it is back in play. You haven't heard a lot about it because there's another judge that wants to bring it back to December 15 without bringing everything else back. But because it was one piece of legislation, that's kind of, you can't bring a part of a legislation. So as far as day-to-day workings of how we've done ACA, it's going to be the same. But you are going to start seeing carriers pull out of the market completely. Those people, start meeting with them now, get what they need going forward now, line up the ones you think that can do short term next year, and start working with that book today. Remember, they get a special enrollment. So everybody can say no December 15th, no December 15th, no December 15th. That is not true for anybody who's losing a carrier. They get an SEP. You can rate them all the way to December 31st. Same thing with your Medicare. So stack those clients post OEP. Right. December 16 to December 31. And guys, I know it's the holiday season. None of us want to be working. But understand, every other agent who's already going to be exhausted from the enrollment season is not going to work December 16 to December 31. You might have your best AEP, your best OEP that you have ever had in your lifetime if you work December 16 to December 31 this year.
Very well said. So last thing I want to ask you, this has kind of been, I've almost asked it a couple of times, but you've obviously had a long history with health markets, looking from the outside in, and then you decided to join the organization. It sounds like Rick was a key component of that when it was all said and done. But I'm just curious, from your perspective at this point in your career, like what brought you to health markets? What keeps you here? What do you think is unique and special about what we have here?
So the first thing that brought me here, the all right, so I have to say some things you're probably not going to like. I'm sorry.
You're
Um,
fine.
what truly brought me here was it was the only place that had legacy available, and I was, my husband and I had only been married a year. My children are not his. My kids were 12 and 13, told that their mama was going to die before they graduated high school. I needed a way to know that when my husband got my children that were not his, that he could financially support them. And I love my husband, but he's not the moneymaker. And so that was it. That's what brought me here. I am thankful that still exists today because now it will go to my grandchildren, right? So that's what got me here. Um, and there's been many times I've wanted to leave because I get very frustrated with getting things rolled out on October 1 and things not being working and things are broken and right. We all go through those same frustrations. What keeps me here is we are, as much as other people outside of us are very frustrated with who Health Markets is. And I've watched other companies like Health Markets, UIG, Plenty, the other one was called Cicero, that have come and gone because they don't treat their agents properly. We are the only ones that actually are already ahead of where the market and the industry is going. And we did it organically and accidentally because we just got very good at pivoting every time something went wrong in the market. There is no other agency, no other GA, no other FMO out there. And I still talk to them all, right? We all make friends in the industry. And I deal with them all in NABIP. We are the only GA, the only FMO in the market that is going to ride this wave without getting drowned somewhere in the process. So there are many things at Health Markets that frustrate me, that frustrates all of us. But if I really want to set myself up for success and I want to set my team up for success, because eventually the goal is I'm going to move into full-time ministry and they're going to take my agency over. Um, the only way to do that is to be with an organization, whether it be on accident or on purpose, that's going to be ahead of the wave. And that is Health Markets.
I couldn't have said that better. I totally agree with you. Having been here 25 years, I think about us going through, the implementation, well, the passage of the ACA, the implementation of the ACA. I've always felt like Health Markets was laying track in front of me in ways that other organizations were not. And that's one of the reasons why I have the loyalty and the allegiance as well. Joni, this has been incredible. I've got multiple people in the chat box who have, have just commented on how wonderful you are as a speaker. Obviously, you speak from your heart. You have a reason why you're doing what you're doing. You have a great team around you. You're doing some incredible things from a growth perspective. It's been really fun to work alongside you and honestly get to know you a little bit more over the last couple of years. I'd say, 5, 6 years ago, I didn't know you real well, and not that I do today, but I know you better today than I ever have. And I've just seen you do some really cool things. I've seen you speak into other people that honestly you probably don't even know that you spoke into. I've had people come to me. Who have worked around you and with you, who have had wonderful things to say about you, and just one-off, like personalized conversations that you've had where you've encouraged them. And candidly, I think that's just how you roll and how you live your life. And you probably don't even know the impact you've had on some of these people. So,
Thank
kudos.
you.
Well
My
done.
number's in the chat. I put my cell and my office. I am willing to have a conversation with anyone. Two things for you to know, though. I was very polite today. I am normally a very direct and honest person. I do have a tendency to hurt people's feelings just because I'm just very blunt. If you want to have a conversation, please don't hesitate to reach out.
That has not been my experience personally. I think, but I think you are very direct, and I think there's sometimes people need direct communication. So I think what Joni's saying is, if you're struggling in the business and you're blaming everyone except for yourself, and you go to Joni, she's probably not going to commiserate with you on that, right? So, but
No, but
Joni,
I will help you see why you're stuck there.
right, exactly. Well, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time today.
Yep.
I'm very appreciative of everything you shared with us. I hope that you and I can continue to cross-pollinate more because I want to learn more from you. I think what you're doing, especially from a legislative perspective and getting involved at that level, many of our agents are not, and I think we should because it is our livelihood. It is how we serve our clients. I think it's another way to serve clients, through the legislative aspect of things, as opposed to just reacting to whatever the government does. We do have opportunities to be involved in that process and involved in those decisions. And I think people are willing to listen too. It's just we've got to be willing to engage in that. Sometimes agents think, well, that doesn't make me any money. And I think we've got to change and shift our mindset on that a little bit because I think it does. And it benefits you. I don't know if it always makes you money, but it benefits you in multiple ways to be engaged in the process, I think. So, do you have any final thoughts for my team here before we've honestly, Johnny, this is one of the biggest. We had almost 50 people on this ADT.
Awesome.
We run between 25 and 30. And so there were a lot of people that were interested. But do you have any final thoughts before we wrap things up today?
Number one, check out NABIP. If you want to join, contact me, list me as your sponsor. Um, it, it, it does make you money if you use it correctly. So remember, we are education heavy here. So we actually run 4 seminars a year specifically on legislative updates. And we invite all our clientele and the public. So we explain where the market's going, just kind of like I did with you guys, but a little more in depth and how it affects them personally and what they can do about it. And so we've gotten a lot of points that way. Um, it's amazing. So that's number one. My only other thought would be if you haven't built yourself a growth plan, personally, professionally, if you haven't thought about coaching, I'm a life coach. I still have 2 coaches and a counselor. I also have a PTSD doctor. So everybody needs to grow. I don't care who you are. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you're not growing and you're dying, then your business is dying too. So just keep that thought in mind. And there are people who want to help you, who want to see you succeed, and who want to breathe life into you. So let them.
Oh, very well said. And that's a great way to wrap for today. Everybody who's on the call, thank you for being here. I know you've taken something away from what Joanie has shared. Joanie, thank you. I appreciate you more than you know. I hope you have a great week and let's stay in touch,
Thank
okay?
you. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.